Welcome to the BMW M5, the G30 2018 M5, and the first one with all-wheel drive. I want to know if that somehow muddied the water in terms of how purist as a driving machine this car will be. It's powered by a 4.4 litre twin-turbo V8 engine. Now that develops 441 kilowatts. That's around 600 horsepower. That's a lot. Bundled alongside that, 750 newton meters from about 1800 RPM. So it's powerful then. The M5 is 4.9-ish meters long, 1.9-ish meters wide, and it weighs 1855 kg. So no featherweight, but all that power that the engine puts out helps lift this thing from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in, wait for it, 3.4 seconds. So it's fast then. So what does 3.4 seconds to 100k sound like? Well, sort of like this. I've got the transmission set to the most aggressive shift protocol, and it really does give you a nice little satisfying punch in the back as it thumps through those gears. It's really great. Look, there's a torque converter involved now. It's a fully automatic transmission, but I don't believe the car's lost any of its ferocity and anger, because this gear shift is very violent when you want it to be, and when you don't, just button it back a couple of notches and it's just creamy smooth as you'd expect. Now, of course, as I'm driving on public roads, I can only do things that are legal, so I'm not doing full-on launch control starts on this thing, and I'm not timing it officially anyway. I'm just letting you know my impressions, but let me give you my impressions. This thing is damned fast. The engine always sounds symphonic. If you're off the throttle, it retreats back into the distance and becomes just a muted kind of presence. But put your foot into it. Now there's a few different drive modes in the M5, and they're quite, well, they can seem a little bit intimidating to access, but fortunately you can set the car up the way you want by going through the various menus and options and then store them on these M1 and M2 buttons on the steering wheel here. So a quick push on M1, for instance, gives me sport steering, sport suspension and sport throttle. So it's not just steering weight, dampers and throttle mapping that you can change with the M5. You've also got the ability to change how fast or slow the gear changes are. You've also got the ability to switch your exhaust from quiet mode to noisy mode. In fact, I don't know why you'd even want to play with quiet mode. It's such a lovely noise, I don't think anybody would ever find the sound that it makes offensive in any circumstances. So the four-wheel drive system in this M5 is called BMW's MX Drive. It's generally a rear-wheel drive car that uses the front wheels when it needs to. So when it's just tooling along like we are now, it's essentially all going to the back. There's three modes. The default when you start it up is just called four-wheel drive. It sends the majority of the engine's power towards the rear of the car. Now if I hold down the DSC button, that turns DSC off completely, and then it comes up with driving without stabilization, driver assistance, braking and steering intervention deactivated. So basically it's saying you're on your own here. Then I can go through to another sub menu which allows me to retain four-wheel drive, go to four-wheel drive sport, which is more rear biased, or two-wheel drive, which is completely rear-wheel drive only. Now I've got to switch it back on actually, because if I switch DSC off in this car, a little light starts flashing at BMW headquarters and tells them that I've done that, and it invalidates the insurance policy that is that I'm currently driving under. So I've just switched that back on again, so we are fully insured again. So what sort of drive is it, this M5 with the all-wheel drive? Well, you certainly do appreciate the fact that it is rear-wheel bias. You can feel being pushed through the corners. You can feel the back wanting to step a little bit wide and tighten the nose in. It's very, very comfortable to drive quickly, even in the most relaxed settings. It's quiet, it's relatively fuel efficient, the gearing is low, it's got an 8-speed automatic. It's a really nice car just to spend time with, regardless of what sort of mood you're in, what sort of terrain you're in, and what sort of hurry you're in. Okay, this is where this car really comes into its own. It's raining, roads of course are wet and slippery and tight. There's a mixture of smooth seal and rough coarse chip. It's all over the place in terms of road surface, but the car is just feeling supremely comfortable and competent. And you know, I'm hurling around a near enough 5 meter long 1.9 ton hyper sedan with near enough 600 horsepower, costing near enough $200,000. And I'm not even sweaty palmed. If I have a little bit of a trial through a tight corner and think, oh, can I go a little bit faster? It says, yes, you can. There's that great soundtrack all the time. And it's just, wow, I mean, it's just spooky. We're going certainly quick enough to be entertaining, but it doesn't feel at all marginal, really, unless I do something completely stupid. And even then, I've got a feeling the car will still be, you know, doing its best to look after me. I'm kind of glad in a way that it's raining, because when you can punt it round corners like this in conditions like these and not feel anxious about its value or your own safety, that's the mark of a great car. Visually, this car gives quite a few clues as to its performance. There's big gaping air vents underneath the bumper. In this particular one, they've got carbon fibre finishes around there to go with the carbon fibre sills and the carbon fibre boot lip spoiler and the carbon fibre diffuser underneath the rear bumper. Those are carbon fibre extras on this particular vehicle. They cost around about 10k. And I'm not sure actually if that includes the $2,500 that they charge for the carbon fibre engine cover. But the carbon fibre roof is standard equipment, so you get that on every BMW M5 once you pay your $199,900. You got these fabulous seats that are really, really comfortable. They're really, I've seen them described as like sitting in a catcher's mitt, and it's very much like that. You do feel kind of supported in all areas of your body. Harman Kardon sound system, head-up display, carbon fibre inlays on the dash, stitched leather top to the dashboard. It's a beautiful car, there's no two ways about it. Now, while you might think $199,900 is a lot of money and it should buy you everything you want in your M5, you can have some extra fun and investment in the options list. Ceramic brakes, they'll cost you another $15,000. And funnily enough, Apple CarPlay, which this car does have, is not standard. So you have to stump up an extra $500 for that, which seems a little bit tight when you're talking about a $200,000 car. This car is just so exciting to drive when you want it to be exciting to drive. And when you don't want it to be exciting to drive, which is hardly ever, it's just a really lovely 5 Series BMW. And that's been often described as the best car in the world. So with this M5, I guess you could say it's the best car in the world that goes really, really fast.